Okay, and we're live for another episode of Market Leader Live. Hey, it's your host with the most, your main man, Darren M. Palmer, Chief Book Officer with Self-Published in 30 Days. You know what we do on Market Leader Live. I don't get people who are talking about it, people who are thinking about it. I got people who did something about it. I got market leaders on here today. We're going to start with ladies first because, you know, I'm a Southern gentleman. We got the sales goddess, a.k.a. the sales champion, Joyce Johnson in the building. Say hello to the people, Joyce.
Hello, everyone. Happy Tuesday.
Awesome, Joyce. And also, man, we got the master strategist, my man, the obsessed man himself, Evan Stewart in the building. Say hello to the people, Evan.
What's going on, everyone? So glad to be here.
Awesome. Well, we're excited to be here. The Y Sales Leadership Retreat is not too far away. It's coming very, very quickly or whatnot. We're already in June. Hey, I'm telling you, you need to get yourself together. Do not find yourself with those wind pants on, eating hot Cheetos and still binging on Netflix at this time. This is the time that you need to make sure that you are a wartime CEO like my boy, Evan Stewart. We'll have more details about that here in just a minute. But also like the sales champion, she is giving us the opportunity to be able to sharpen up our skill. Iron sharpens iron. So let's go a little bit before we go. And I have Evan share. Joyce, let's go back into Y Sales Leadership Retreat. Tell us what that is for those who've been under a rock for a while, what that is, and why should they attend and register for this particular event?
Hey, Y Sales Leadership Retreat, Darren, is a gathering for us to get together and reinvent ourselves. You know, one of the things when you're a top performer, you still got to be able to check and adjust. And I saw this when they were talking about MJ and his last dance, that you got to add something. If you looked at that general manager, he knew every year to get better and better, he still needed to add to the pieces. And you may be at the top of your game, but you need to enhance, because what worked last year may not work in a new norm, right? So we all got to get together. We want to provide tools and resources and networking of people to help you reinvent, to enhance your current brand, to take you to the next level and meeting your 2020 goals. I know everyone's saying get on the bus to 2021, it's leaving tomorrow, but no, 2020 is still here. We got to deal with it. And we got to get the things done that we're going to need to be successful in 2020. So go over to www.ysalesnetwork.com and get registered for the Y Sales Leadership Retreat. It's time to make it happen, people. Things are opening up.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you so much for sharing it with us, Joyce. And I mean, why not get better? I mean, you know, for those who are listening to this particular show, you understand the importance of getting better and also networking. You have the opportunity to be with the sales champion, also the master strategy when it comes to obsess. And I know some who are unfamiliar with Evan might say obsessed. Like, what is it? Is he stalking people? Like, what is this guy doing right now? So Evan, if you don't mind, share with the people a little bit about who you are, and let's go a little bit deeper into this obsessed concept, if you don't mind.
Of course. Well, I'm really glad to make your acquaintance, even if it's if this is our first time interacting, if it's over camera, because this is the new normal, like Joyce said, and it's time to adjust. That's what this whole thing is about. So, you know, obsession and what I'm talking about is not an unhealthy obsession, which a lot of people think. Those are, you know, that's the media, that's mania, that's stemming from feelings of, you know, shame and guilt and abandonment, and it's negative connotations. What I'm talking about in particular, and what we'll get into, Darren and Joyce, is healthy obsession. And, you know, really, at my core, I'm just a man of God that's working very diligently to do my very best here. But in an actual sense, I had an opportunity to build, scale, and exit some pretty significant businesses. And now just spend my time doing things like this, Darren, and really enjoying great conversation with great people and leaving little seeds and an opportunity to impact. Because like Joyce said, 2020 is still here, and the end of this year, you still have enough time to make significant shifts if you put in the effort now. So glad to be here, Darren, and glad to get acquainted with you if we haven't met yet on the other side of that webcam.
Awesome, and that's great. And I'm going to go, but Evan, I'm going to go a little bit deeper with you real quick before I bring it back to Joyce. Because Evan, you're a nice guy. You're a great guy. So people can hear you. You know, you did a nice, you was eloquent. You know, as far as the words that you just shared, but at the same time, you are a wartime CEO. And I want people to understand meekness doesn't mean weakness. And so you have to still get sales during this time. Kumbaya, my Lord, is not paying the bills for most of these people who are listening to this. So I want you to share with them how you can be a person of respect and honor. You don't have to be rah, 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 kill, 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 but you still get the job done. So can we speak a little bit about not because I'm a nice person, not sitting on that, using that as a crutch, not to be productive. So let's go there first, and then I'm going to pass it to Joyce.
That's a great question. And I believe a lot of individuals will use this concept of being nice as being weak. Don't mistake my kindness with weakness, right? And what I mean by that is so many people will use this mask and this crutch of, oh, I'm trying to be nice. I don't want to sell people. What you really are saying is, I don't believe enough in my product or my service that it actually will positively impact the people in my life. And I feel guilty when I'm trying to push something on someone else that I wouldn't want pushed on me. So because of that, you're not willing to actually move forward and drive revenue. And that typically is under the mask of being kind, but in reality, you're uninspired, unconnected, unfulfilled, and you're living a life in default. So therefore, you don't feel proper when you're pushing on your sales or your strategy or whatever it is you're trying to move under the life of another person. And so I love the fact, Darren, that you talk about that, because a lot of people have the Steve Jobs mentality of, I walk into the office with a middle finger in one hand and a vodka in the other, and that's just how I run my business. That's not how most businesses run. In fact, I know all of us, Joyce and Darren, we've had an opportunity to meet other amazing business leaders. Most of the business leaders I know that are successful are actually fantastic people. And so where that would stem from, and if that's something you're struggling with about how do you drive revenue during this time, I believe that really is a problem with conviction. And what I believe, the qualifier, is answering this question: what specifically about your client's life is better because you're in it? That's it. And if you can definably answer that, then that should give you the conviction to actually drive revenue and push a little bit harder in times of crisis like we're in right now. And if you can't, maybe it's a good time to adjust. And as Joyce is going to talk about, pivot. And maybe this is a great opportunity to explore the playing field and see if maybe we're playing ball left field, but we need to go right for a little while.
I love that. I love that, Evan. And I'm glad that you attacked that. And, and I want the audience to listen to this, because don't get me wrong, you can give away free ebooks all day long. You can give audio materials. You can give the little call, like, I hope all is well. But at the same time, we are in a time that people still need to be served. I got to go I just seen it just a minute ago when I came into the office. I saw a nail in one of my tires. So it's not flat or anything, but I'm gonna have to go to the shop. I need a tire shop to be open who's gonna be able to sell me their services to get that nail out of my tire or whatnot, because I don't want to be out there patching it. So with that being said, I need someone who's doing business. So we need to be open for business, even if it's being safe and you feel like you need to be virtually, but be open. So Joyce, let's go into being open for business and understanding how to pivot, because I know that you made some adjustments with a conference that was supposed to be in the Bahamas. Because if y'all didn't know it, I need a tan right now, but I need to get my tan. But at the same time, I'm just going to keep, praying and believing, because they say you have not because you ask not. So I'm going to get my tan. I'm trusting in the Lord for my tan, and go to the Bahamas. But you had to pivot a whole conference, and also you had to pivot other areas of your business. So let's talk about the power of making that adjustment. Like, hey, it's not over, but I do need to pivot. Let's take us down that road, if you don't mind, Joyce.
Yes, it's definitely not over, right? So you got to get out there and make it happen. And some of the things that, Evan is talking about, what I gathered, do you guys want to round up what Evan just said to you? Stop living in fear, like our good friend Kim Lott say, and build some faith, right? It's fear over faith, because if you don't feel comfortable, like Evan said, selling something to someone, that's an internal issue. And you got to figure out if you're in the right space at the right time. And if you just have what it takes to get there, because a lot of people call people like Evan and Darren and myself. I know I get the calls pretty often and say, well, oh, wow, this program looks so great. And this here, but when but are you willing to do what I do to make that happen? Are you willing to give up what I give to make that happen? Right. And so that's what you got to ask yourself. What are you willing to do to make it happen? And it's not about being nice, but also just about getting past the fear in your life. And I've been there. We've all been there at some point. And you're either going to stand behind that fear or you're going to jump over it. So that I wanted to make a note on that. But so what I've decided to do, Darren, of course, is jump. Because failure is not an option. And so at this point, like Darren said, we had the Wise Sales Leadership Retreat. that I just spoke about a few minutes ago that was going to be on a beautiful Bimini Island in the Bahamas. And so with everything closing down, I had to check and adjust. So we've gone to a virtual platform. Although you won't get a tan, we've created an experience, a virtual experience for people. We are going to send everyone a wine glass and a wine bag, and they're going to get a notebook like if they left home, and they're going to be able to sit in their conference t-shirt. They'll receive their t-shirt. So we're still found a way to create that experience of having a retreat within our conference. We're going to have our man cave. I'm so happy to officially announce the man cave. This is the first show I'm able to talk about it on. Thank you, Darren. I did not want to abandon our male audience. And so we're going to have a man cave where the guys are going to get together and talk. They'll be virtually, and our sponsors are going to send them a whole different t-shirt. One of our sponsors, Larry Brooks from Pure Hustle, is going to send a Pure Hustle t-shirt because it's time for the men to hustle, and they get together and talk about themselves as business leaders and fathers and husbands and what they're doing. And then we're going to have a comedy show. I just talked to my comedy guy now, where we're going to do these things in person in Houston, but then we're going to go virtual to our audience so we can still create like if you actually left home and went to an event. Another thing I've done, if I've taken my speaking program to colleges from a in-person to a virtual program. And think about this, people. If you were getting on the plane, packing, and I have bags, will travel just as well as the next one. But now I can speak to people, 2 or 3 people a day from my hotel room, whether I'm in the Bahamas, Belize, Europe, no matter where I'm at, and still bring that revenue into my business, into my home. So you have to take time to really understand what's out there. This is not a time of destitute, or, for lack of a better word right now, what people are saying. This is a time of opportunity. There is always opportunity, and you have to decide what the opportunity is for you and be willing to do what it takes to go get it. I'm there.
Awesome. I mean, man, my girl is, I'm sounding like John Lee Dumas. My girl is dropping value bombs over here.
I'm there. Let's do it.
Let's do it. They're doing like JLD. And I want to bring this up, especially with, because that wasn't an easy pivot. Most people could have folded like a lawn chair at the family picnic, but you chose to make your next move your best move and actually play chess instead of checkers. And I want to bring this up too, because Evan, he has the same experience, because he has an event coming up, his Obsessed conference or whatnot, that's going to be in October as well. So his team had to make some adjustments too as well. So Evan, I know that you got Obsessed Academy and also the conference. So share a little bit what you've been able to do with your team, because I mean, everybody's not just jumping off the bandwagon to buy a ticket and they're stuck in a house or whatnot, including you and your wife. So let's talk about what have you had to do far as pivoting in your business, and also with having a conference yourself that you're putting on.
Absolutely. Well, what Joyce is talking about having to go virtual, we haven't quite had to go virtual yet, because it is towards the end of the year, but that is a conversation. Our pivot has been huge. A lot of our revenue is events driven, and we took a hit just like other businesses took a hit. We haven't quite measured it out yet, but it's a couple $1 million, and it hurt. But that's okay, because the big definition that I want to actually even affirm what Joyce is talking about, and then bring a deeper definition to this in a tangible way, is in the pivot, you have to be okay with the fact that you're going to take loss. You just can't be okay with going to zero, or you can't be okay with just losing everything and completely leaving the ideal behind. Let me rephrase that, because sometimes it will go to zero. But the big thing is just adjusting. So our conversations internally when COVID started happening, we started shifting, was where is the attention moving to, and how can we get in front of it? So our big thing was we went to immediately, for 2 weeks straight, we did group calls every single day, 6 and 7 days a week. Then we started moving to more group calls. We started backloading content. We poured a bunch of money into app development and moving forward some of these projects to take advantage of that attention at that time. But it's funny you mentioned that, Darren, because there's a pivot that I want to touch on. And it's not an Obsessed Academy pivot. It's a pivot before that, which was my real estate company. Because that pivot is an area that I think needs to be discussed. And Joyce, I know that you've even made big shifts in your life too. Of course, knowing your story of accomplishment and what you've built is so incredible. But for those of you that are watching, you might be in a space that I was in, which is sometimes the pivot doesn't happen because life hits you in the face. Sometimes it happens as a tiny little gnawing at your soul that things need to shift. And sometimes the pivot and what looks like a pivot, why I want to bring recognition to this is because everyone says pivot, pivot, pivot. COVID happens, therefore I need to. But sometimes what happens is maybe COVID put a magnifying glass that you're actually living out of a calling and a purpose and a gift. Maybe what happens is now this time put additional stresses on the conversations when you're coming home and you have that you sit down with your spouse at the dinner table. You're just, I don't know if I can do this. And I feel weird, like something inside of me. Maybe that's been kind of gnawing at your soul for the last 6 months, 8 months, 12 months. And now COVID put that under a microscope. And so when I was in my other company, which was a very large company, built from zero to the top 1% of industry professionals in my state, even though things were very successful, my pivot was that gnawing. And so I want to bring a recognition to that because this pivot we're talking about, Darren and Joyce, is very clear. Something happens, therefore I must. But I think there's another side to that. If you're watching this and you're feeling that there's been a part of you that really is ignited during this time to go and do something different. Maybe you don't quit the job and you start, but maybe you just start pursuing a different passion or moving in a different arena. That's a pivot as well. That needs to be listened to just as much as my audience, my consumers, my business, my employees were engaging on point A and they're moving to point B, so I need to be there first.
Love it. I love it. Go ahead, Joyce, chime in.
If I can hop in there, every time in there, this is exactly why we invited Evan to talk about the purpose over profit. It's just what you just said, Evan, right? And Evan he may remember, he may just be thinking, because you may remember because I just posted on my LinkedIn your Monday motivation, purpose over profit. But when it came through my email, I immediately opened it up, right? Mm-hmm. And so what Evan is saying to you guys, sometimes that nudge that you're getting is what you're really here meant to be. Because if you're living your purpose in life and you're doing what you're supposed to be doing in life, the profit will come. And that's why we're having that discussion on the Pivot During Panic webinar series on Thursday night. And then that's also why we are having Evan come to the Y Sales Leadership Retreat to talk about letting go. Because sometimes you can't live your purpose until you let go, right? So sometimes you're dragging that baggage, as we ladies say, we got the baggage on the side and we're trying to go into our purpose, whether we got the nudge to pivot. And a lot of us had the nudge, but COVID-19 forced us to accept the nudge, right? So some of us had the calling before. It's just like, like one of my mentor friends said he had got the calling, but, he just was straying away from it. And I said, until you accept that calling, nothing's going to be right in your life. So your purpose is that calling.
Yes.
And it comes, and this whole COVID is making you say, okay, I hear you. I'm going, right?
Yes.
So it's that purpose, over profit. I said, we're going to lose a little bit. We're not going to earn as much money on things as we wanted to. But as long as you're helping people, you're educating people, you're training people, I firmly believe that people are going to listen to this podcast. I'm sharing it. I mean, they've told me when I share it on my Facebook, they get so much out of it, and they're going to lead better because Darren's stuck with this podcast. They're going to lead better after hearing you on Thursday night. They're going to lead better and stronger after attending the leadership retreat.
Absolutely. And Joyce, what you're talking about is so key. And if you're watching this and you feel that you're caught in pivot, you feel that you're adjusting, come and join us at these amazing things that she's putting together, because it's an incredible, I've been at a lot of virtual events lately, but no one like Joyce puts forth the effort to really engage you as the consumer on the other side of that, as somebody, it really is worth your time, because these conversations are so important because most people aren't having them. And if you're sitting there, Joyce, we talked about the purpose over profit, because profit follows purpose. That's true. And what happens is many of us will chase, I grew up in Texas, right? So there's a saying, an old Southern saying, which is you're tripping over dollars to save pennies, right?
Oh, I say it all the time. Is that because we grew up in Texas?
It probably is.
I say it too. Stop chipping
right.
over dollars to save pennies. Yes.
But the thing is that so many of us want a union with our purpose and our calling. But before union, you have to have relationship. Before relationship, you have to have conversation. Before conversation, you have to be called. And the problem is so many of us are hearing it ring, but we refuse to actually pick up and accept. And then we complain because the tools of measurement we're using to adjust our life are so poor. The only thing you have behind you is cash. And that is the biggest problem. Is it doesn't matter how successful you are. It doesn't matter where you were at. I had a very large company. We walked away from that because most people, in my opinion, are more terrified of discomfort than they are of living a life of mediocrity. But the beautiful thing and the recognition I'd really love to implore upon you here is that mediocrity is scalable. See, I know people that are living short of their potential that make tens of millions of dollars a year or more. And I know people that are living short of their potential that aren't making anything. See, money is just an amplifier, but often that is the tool of measurement that we use to actually measure our self-worth, our business worth. And that's not what it's about. And see, the question that I have and the challenge I have on you, if I'm going to go deep for a second on this, to just
Go,
because
Evan,
we need to
go.
bring this into the business conversation is, well, at least for me, the challenge that I had was I could no longer go home and justify to my wife that I was doing what I was supposed to be doing for her when I wasn't myself and I wasn't present. And I knew deep down that what I was doing was only producing cash. And so my question to you is, if you're a parent and you know that you're living short of your potential, when is your point to stop justifying that your children should live their best life when you know deep down you're not? And if you're not a parent yet, when can you stop justifying to your spouse, to your partner, to your friends, to your family, to the people that care, that you're actually living your best life in your purpose, in your calling, and in your gift, when you know in reality you're living in the area that's comfortable, but not in the area that you're called to? And that's why this webinar and this event that Joyce is putting on is so important, is because that dialogue, everybody teaches you how to make money. You can go to Joyce for training. You can get your book done with Darren. You can find ways to make money, but I don't believe in just making money. I believe in living in gift. The money will follow, right?
Hey, I can't give y'all all the game right now. You got to go register at Y Sales Leadership Retreat. I mean, did y'all see? Did you see that? It's shaking in here right now. I'm telling y'all. I mean, y'all didn't know that we didn't know they had earthquakes in Texas. I'm not in California. I know y'all thinking, oh, they in California. I thought they said.
Don't call for those earthquakes.
There you go. You gotta watch out for those earthquakes and whatnot. And this is more information, a dialogue that you can have actually for the happy hour that's going on. Make sure that you go and register for that. Joyce, I'm gonna let Joyce share more information, but also invest in yourself. Go ahead and register for Y Sales Leadership Retreat. If you're saying that you want to be a leader, if you want to go to the next level, you don't have to get a plane ticket. You don't have to have your visas, your passport or whatnot. You can do this or whatnot in the comforts of your home or whatnot. Nobody will see the orange, from the Cheetos that you had in your hand. Nobody won't see none of that. You don't have to have your hair done. You don't have to have none of that stuff. You don't even have to have a haircut. You can just get on and get great information. And I want to end this because Evan brought this up and Joyce has brought this up too. The reason that we're even, the Lord put us together, but at the same time, I want us to understand the importance of relationships. And I don't think that people understand that. They brought some great points, but I want you to understand the importance of relationships. Don't miss out on relationships. I see, you can do a book. You can learn how to sell. You can learn how to set up a Series LLC and all this, whatever kind of business that you're doing. But regardless of who you are, I have a book here by David L. Stewart or whatnot, and it is Leadership by the Good Book. And I heard an interview with him with TD Jakes, and the whole thing, this is a guy who owns a tech company. The whole interview, you wouldn't know he was a tech guy at all. He's not a Zuckerberg, it's none of that. But the whole thing that he talked about was relationships. He worked at FedEx as a salesperson. He's from Missouri, simple, plain, like he's a deacon at your local church. You wouldn't think anything about him at all when you would see him far as tech. It don't look like he could even have an email, you know what I'm saying, when you see this guy. But I want you to understand that because I think that's where people lost. Relationships will allow for you to be recession proof. And I want you to think about that, because people will do business with you just because. And I'm just going to share this. Evan has a program or whatnot with Obsessed Academy. I'm just going to use this as an example. Regardless if I look at Obsessed Academy or not, and it's great material and I do use it, but I invest in the program because of Evan and his wife. Point blank. Like it helps me. Now, don't get me wrong, I've learned a lot off of it, but it's because of who they are. I invest with stuff with Joyce because of who she is. So we blocked off our whole calendar for as other people and said, hey, everybody who's going to be a part of Joyce stuff, we're putting on the calendar because of relationships. Joyce connects me with people. Evan connects me with people. We connect with each other. So I don't think that particular topic is really being shown to so many people, because we think that we can just do a click funnel. We think that we can just do a Facebook ad. But I'm telling you all, referral mastery, Evan knows about this. If you got the right people in your life, I can't tell you how many things that people are just showing up that I've done nothing to earn that book of business. It's just because of the relationship that I have with them. I got over about 5. I probably got 10 and ongoing just referrals just with Joyce alone, just random connections because we had an event together and she tells somebody about me. So before we close out, you all, and I want Joyce to share the information about how they can be a part of the happy hour and also how they can register. But Evan, I want to start with you, and then we'll close it out with Joyce so she can share some more information on the power of relationships.
Well, what you're talking about is key, and that's why being here at the happy hour and being at the event is so important, is because yes, it's important to have relationships with other people, but how do you expect to have a healthy network of relationships if you don't even have a relationship with the better potential of yourself? And that's the real thing here, is the right relationship in your life needs to be identified, it needs to be clear, it needs to be kind, it needs to be available, professional, purpose-driven, but all those things happen internally first before they can happen externally. And so I agree in the power of relationships, the power of referrals. I believe that a transaction is a byproduct of a vested relationship, not the goal of the relationship. Friends keep friends in business, baby. So we're going to send business back and forth. But really, the way for you, if you're watching this and you're really connecting with this, the way for you to build that network of relationships, to pivot, to fall into purpose, all these great catchphrases, chestnut checkers, all of these things, what we're really saying at the core component is you need to know who you are, what that means, why it matters, and how it's applicable to your life and your life's work. And that begins with this. That begins, honestly, with this happy hour and with this event that Joyce is putting on. And so if that's something inside of you that's stirring, the best answer I can give, Darren, is just be there. Just show up. Let's spend some time together. Go deeper with Joyce. Go deeper with me and the other great speakers. That's right. That's right.
Awesome. Thank you, Evan. And Joyce, if you don't mind, touch on relationship. I want to be respectful of everybody's time. And then also share with them how they can register for the happy hour and also for the Y Sales Leadership Retreat.
Well, on relationships, as you said, Darren, we're connected, and everyone begins to build this family of business, right? And so when I'm thinking of things and what I want to do, when I thought about, let's just say this, when I put together the Y Sales Leadership Retreat, and I began to put together the topics that I knew was important to share to enhance people's lives and help them reinvent, because our theme is #2020 reinvention. When I did that, and I began to reach out to people on LinkedIn and what have you, I had to pause one evening and I said, well, I already know people who can do this and do this well. And I've seen them do it, and I can witness them do it. So I can speak passionately about them doing it. And so everyone on that panel, everyone that's going to be speaking and bringing something to you, there's 1 or 2 people I've engaged recently that looking to add some things, but everyone that they are going to hear from is there because of relationship with me. I met Evan through you. Evan and I were together at your event here in Houston. And so I told you, I said, hey, you think that guy Evan can talk about this? But now Evan and I are just, we're just connected, and it'll be a forever piece of friendship and family. And so you've got to build your network and look around you there's power around you. You may not see it, but there's power around you. Everyone who's around you is working towards something, and figure out how you can make each other better. It's my goal to make Darren better. If anyone talks about a book or publishing a book or branding or what have you, I'm like, oh, you got to talk to my guy, Darren Palmer. I'm immediately sharing his information, period. I'm connecting him via WhatsApp, email, Facebook, whichever way I can. And so again, the Wise Sales Leadership Retreat is to give you information, insight, tools, and resources to help you pivot, to help you enhance yourself, reinvent whatever is needed so that you can walk in your purpose, through faith, meet your goals for 2020. Go over to sign up for the webinar and the conference at www.wisesalesnetwork.com. You can also go to Eventbrite and look us up there. When you go to the website, I'm going to forewarn you for the webinars. My sister said, oh, I have to click a couple of times before I get there. You're going to have to click a couple of times, but it's well worth the click. www.wisesalesnetwork.com. Join us Thursday night and join us June 25th and 26th.
I got the information up here for those who are looking. We'll make sure we have them in the show notes as well. Evan, if you don't mind, can you give the people social media handles? How can they register? Also, after they, get through with Wise Sales Leadership Retreat, how can they register for Obsessed Academy? How can they connect about your conference in October to keep the flames going after they get through with Wise Sales Leadership Retreat?
Zig Ziglar says motivation is like bathing. It doesn't last. That's why we recommend it daily. So I love that. I mean, getting connected with Joyce, coming to the retreat. You can find me on Instagram or on any social network, actually, at Real Evan Stewart. Apparently there's a fake Evan Stewart. No, I'm just kidding. It's at Real Evan Stewart. And all of our, what we're doing here and how we pour back is at Obsessed Academy and at obsessedconference.com. But really, above all, the number one thing that I can recommend is just join us at the leadership retreat, because it's truly something unique and it's going to be an amazing opportunity. If you have questions about it, you can definitely hit up Joyce, hit up you. Honestly, I know you'll connect and hit up me too. We're happy to steer you in the right direction, and just glad for another opportunity like us all here having great conversation to ignite something in someone watching or listening.
Awesome. Thank y'all so much. I appreciate your time, Evan. I thank you, Joyce.
Thank you
for tuning in. For all those who tuned in today, we appreciate you. I got the information on the screen, wisesalesnetwork.com. Go there, whatnot, to register for the happy hour and also to be able to register for the Wise Sales Leadership Retreat. Until next time, remember, if you want change, be the change. Be blessed and be great.